Hello there and welcome to Rogue Brothers. For our 500 subscriber special, we wanted to have a little chat. Let's introduce ourselves. So I'm Chris. You might have watched me playing Bad North. Who else we got? Ben?
Yeah, I'm Ben. As you said, I play all sorts of games. So there should be a bit of Surviving Mars coming out at some point. That's what I've been playing at the moment.
Sam?
Hi, yeah, I'm Sam. I don't think I've got any videos on Rogue Brothers except for Europa Universalis, and I sort of played that in Football Manager.
You're a lurker.
I'm a lurker.
Look, and I'm Jamie.
I'm the main body of Rogue Brothers. No, I played some Terraria and some Subnautica, but I don't know if that counts.
No, not really. So Jamie's the youngest of us, and he makes big claims. But
We should probably say we are all brothers.
we are all
Actually,
brothers. Yeah.
genuine brothers.
So today we're going to be chatting about Total War, because I used to love Total War when I was younger, and I used to play it all the time. It used to be my favourite game, and I don't play it anymore. So we thought we'd say, well, what's gone wrong with Total War? Why don't we play it anymore? So off we go. First of all, how much Total War did you used to play, and how much do you play now? Start off with Ben.
Yeah, I love Total War. As soon as I got a gaming computer, I pumped hours into it. I went from Rome 1 basically all the way through to as soon as Rome 2 came out, I stopped. I bought the game. I also bought Attila, but I barely play it. I've got Warhammer as well. I've got the whole load of them, but I don't touch them. I've loaded them, I've played them a bit, and then I've uninstalled them within a week, within a couple of days. Not because of spite, but I just not enjoyed them. But yeah, I also played Medieval 1 and Viking Invasion. But yeah, that's me. That's my experience all the way through. Sam, what about you?
Yeah, I remember coming home one day I can't remember, probably from school, and going to Chris's room. Chris is the oldest, and seeing this game where like these Greek hoplites were marching through the city fighting. I was like, this is the best game ever, and that was Rome Total War. But I remember watching and playing a lot of the first medieval Total War. Yeah, and I've played up until Rome 2. I played quite a lot of Rome 2. It kept crashing on my computer though, and and then I'd stopped playing Total War completely, probably because of Rome 2.
Yeah, because Jamie, you're the only one who still plays Total War, aren't you?
I'm currently playing Total War. Yes, I think I've played. What have I not played? I haven't played Empire Total War, and I haven't played the new 3. What are they called? The Saga, Total War Saga. So that's 3 Kingdoms, Thrones of Britannia, and Troy. But I've played the Warhammer games, Attila, Rome 2, and all of the old ones.
Yes, you're into the Warhammer ones, aren't you? The modern ones.
Into is a strong term, but yeah, I quite enjoy them.
So, yeah, like I got into them. I think my first one was Medieval Total War. I didn't really do Shogun, and it was just brilliant. And I grew up all the way through. But I think Rome Total War 2 really didn't engage me. And after that, I've just seen it go downhill. I've watched videos of people saying how rubbish the new ones are, but I've kind of moved away from them more and more. So what do we think has gone wrong with the Total War games?
First of all, you never played Empire or Napoleon, did you?
I played Napoleon. I didn't play Empire.
You didn't play it. Okay.
People always put hate on Empire, but then some people say it's really good.
I quite enjoy Empire. I kind of like that period, so I kind of like playing, even though it's a little bit different. But
Is that the one with a lot of ship battles in it?
Yeah, you got a few ship battles, and it's weird. You've got a weird continent because you've got the new worlds, but you only got little bits of them. So the bits that were historically involved. So I think you got America and India and Europe, and you just pop to the other. It's like a new map. You pop to it when you like invade it or travel over there. But I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, because I never played it. Like, I did do Napoleon. I remember the ship battles were good on Napoleon.
Yeah, I love
Napoleon. I thought Napoleon was a good game. I love that part of history. But yeah, a really good game. Rome 2 is where I thought it went really wrong. And
Yeah.
I just got so frustrated with like battles that last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're playing Total War, you want to, and we have done this throughout playing all the early ones, like you want the occasion where you spend half an hour, 40 minutes, like on the edge of your seat thinking, am I going to lose this battle? Whereas I felt like Rome Total War 2, you charge, they break or you break, and then that's it.
That's it. It definitely got dumbed down, and you could auto resolve stuff also. That was way too easy.
You could always auto resolve.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like it got easier.
Just hates auto resolve now.
I hate auto resolve. I mean, I remember on Third Age, we've all done a Third Age Total War, haven't we?
Yes, so
Yeah,
that's the best. That's my favourite Total War.
So
That's a mod,
if you don't know,
it's a mod.
that's Lord of the
Oh,
Rings.
yeah.
So it's Lord of the Rings Total War. It's just brilliant.
But it's a mod, so it's not a
It's
one-off.
Modern Medieval 2.
Yes,
Mm.
but you can't auto resolve that one, can you? You like it.
Well, you can, but it
It's
doesn't work.
really buggy. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like you always lose.
Basically, it's broken, so it forces you to fight battles and.
But I always thought, like, why, if you're playing Total War, would you auto-resolve anything that's not, like, ridiculously in your favour? You're playing the game to fight battles. So,
Yeah.
like, I never understood that.
You kind of auto resolve to get to the good battles, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to get something that's tricky.
You don't want to fight the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. I remember when I was playing, like, the first Rome Total War, I was quite young, and I was like, I must win every battle. And I remember just, like, fighting rebels all the time, just like with a big army. And
Yeah.
I did not understand the game, and I was like, I've got to obliterate them. I also remember I fought on Rome Total War. You know, you can make forts.
Yeah.
I thought forts were cities. Chris came in once and was like, why have you got so many forts in central Italy? And I was like, well, I've just created loads of cities, so I'm going to have loads of money. They just completely misunderstood what they were.
Just spending loads and thought. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they cost money as well, don't they?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, a bit of money.
200 or something.
But I remember back in the day, like, Chris would be in his room and he'd have his computer that he just bought, and we were really young, and we'd knock on his door and ask permission to come in and watch him play. And so we'd knock, and he'd let us in sometimes. And we weren't allowed to talk, we had to watch. We weren't allowed to comment on anything, we weren't allowed to say, there's a unit there that you can use, or anything. We had to stand there in silence and watch. And that was the best thing ever.
Those Viking Huskarls are really
Yeah.
hard to kill.
That's the thing, Medieval 1, there was the Viking Huskarls you just couldn't kill unless you got Saxon Huskarls, which took you ages to get.
That's what I
And that
remember,
game
yeah.
still sticks with me. It's such a good game, like those battles were so good. And that was with 2D characters running across the map kind of thing.
Yeah, it was so hard. It was so hard.
People with like, so that you had the normal fort, and then you like the citadel had 2 walls, and the fortress had 3 walls.
Oh,
That's it, that's biggest.
They just had a gate each, didn't they? Like,
Yeah, because
Right.
on the modern ones, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there aren't big city battles anymore? They just fight on.
One wall. There's one
One
wall.
wall.
Yeah, so what I'd say the problem with sieges is they're ridiculously easy either side of it. If you're doing a siege, if you're fighting a siege, you will win. There's no way you can lose that battle. So if you're defending the siege, you chuck someone in the gate and hold the enemy back, and then your towers will deal with the enemies. And you can like be massively outnumbered, you'll probably still win. And then when you're attacking cities, the enemy doesn't move, so you just put a mage. You've got mages in the new ones. You put a mage near the walls.
That's another thing. That's another thing I hate. I hate the single entity units. Like, I grew up, I loved the history of it. I always loved the fact that you could get real historical units, and so you could have, your knights on the battlefield, and your general was a real unit who could die. But in the modern ones, like, you get this. I've seen videos of it, and you get kind of this mage who's got a health bar and runs around the battlefield smashing stuff up for hours. I mean, it just looks ridiculous. Like, I want. Go on.
the history point's a good one, isn't it? Like, I remember like a lot of the history I knew in like history lessons at school was from Total War games. Like, it's a genuinely really good aspect of it, and I wonder if that they've lost that a little bit like obviously if you're going to do Warhammer, you don't have the history aspect.
You got that.
And doing Rome 2, you'd already done Rome 1, so but that is like a really interesting part of the game, is that you are learning history as well.
Yeah, and geography, of course. You know,
Yeah.
people was like, "Oh, where's Venice?" And you're like, "Oh, I know exactly where Venice is because I spent years trying to siege it down and
You're a
kill
much
it."
bigger deal than people realise. It's
Yeah.
not just a city.
Yeah, it's
It's actually
crazy.
an island. I learned that from.
Yeah, but it's gone downhill for sure. I mean, I remember the battles. You said, you know, they go over 5 minutes. You've won the battle. I remember that one time. Chris set up a battle in Rome Total War, the first one. It was the 4 Romans against the 4. You said Greek nations. You had
Was it
those
3
two.
on 3?
I thought it was 4 and 4 because you had SQPR and then the 3.
I
Yeah.
think there's only 3 Greek nations, isn't there? The
Well,
Macedonia, Greek cities,
I
and
think-
Well, I
It
think
was
we had
like a-
4 phalanx units with phalanx.
So you had
Yeah,
like the Egyptians.
yeah. We might.
the
I can't remember who we
that
had.
that might be it.
But yeah, so you had the phalanx for like, but you weren't like you didn't skimp out on the enemy units. You really went to town. Like the hoplites, Spartan hoplites, a full set of them, and then so you had 3 computer guys on your team with the Romans, and then you had the 4 like phalanx all computer, and you had one nation of the Scipio, I think.
Yeah, it was huge.
And I remember the battle went on for so long, and you actually had to leave halfway through, about an hour in,
Yeah.
that I had to take over and see the battle through.
I
It was
think
one of the most
I think I
epic
came
moments.
back before it
Coming back
finished.
Well, I came back after like 2 hours.
It's
I
still
was still
going.
fine.
Chris had like these 10 Roman general cavalry, who were you basically had to pin the enemy with a legionary unit. You just have to hold the phalanx, and then you charge in with these like 10 general cavalry who gradually get depleted. So there's like 5 and then 4, and it's so ropey and just stray phalanx units walking around the place.
Yeah, because
It's great.
it was so good because they were all like legionaries, weren't they? So it was like the legionaries against the phalanx. That was it. It was like the shield wall against the spike wall, and eventually the Romans actually won. Like after a 2-hour battle of, it was brilliant.
But would you say if humans hadn't controlled Scipio, the Greeks might have won that one?
Definitely, yeah. But because we could like beat one army ourselves. Like I think we were up against the Spartans, but once we beat the Spartans, it was like it was classic. Finished the battle with 20 men left on each side, but it was such a battle. And those kind of fights would never work now because as soon as you hit, someone would run and a general would die and it would be game over. But that was epic. So like
Yeah.
the best moment.
You don't actually fight to the death now. So there's a mechanic called the army losses penalty. So when you're the comparison of your forces is a certain level above the enemies, where yours is so much lower than the enemies, then the entire army will rout.
See, that sounds like it sucks because like you wouldn't have like a fight up against it where you have a small group who valiantly hold on till the last, and I don't know. I just feel.
Yeah, so barbarian invasions, great, like example of this. I feel like I loved that game. It was great.
Which one was that?
It was the one where
It's the expansion,
if
wasn't
you
it?
play as Rome, you've just got like Vandals and
Oh yes.
Goths like swarming across Europe.
Rome 1's expansion, was it?
No,
Just-
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Medieval.
You just have to on that game kill their general.
Oh no. Yeah.
And you have like, if you have one unit of cavalry, you just hit each unit and they run. I just have great memories of like killing their general and you're like, I'm in. Even if you had one unit of cavalry holding a city, you're like, just need to hit them in the back and they'll run.
That's it. Yeah, you used to get
That was-
massive chain rats, didn't you?
I think that was a problem with medieval and Rome, where you could. So if you hit their general unit from like the left flank with your cavalry, you just killed their general every single time. So every time you started the battle, you send a cavalry unit off to the right flank, and you'd hit their general, kill their general.
Yeah, but I sort of like that about it too. Like the general was so important to the battle, and they were. I mean, the AI, you probably could have improved that so that they protected them a bit better. But it was great that you could turn the battle if you killed their general at the right moment. Like you wait till they waver and then you hit them, and it could completely switch the battle. Like you could be really close to losing, and then you kill their general, and then suddenly they'd all start running. Like it was so much fun. But I'm trying to get behind why I don't play it anymore, because I used to love it. But the modern ones don't have that feel anymore. They don't.
No.
I don't know if it's
It was new though, wasn't it? It was a whole new thing, like Total War.
Yeah.
We'd gone from nothing to something, and now it was good with Medieval, and then Rome was an improvement. Medieval 2 was a huge improvement, such a good game. And then as soon as you get to like Rome 2, you're like, this is going to be the best game ever. And they just went worse. They tried weird mechanics.
Medieval 2 is still good though. Like if you
Medieval
play,
2 is still good.
like
I
yeah.
re-downloaded all the old games recently. So I had Attila Total War on my wish list, and it told me it was on sale for not much. But I was like, no, I'm not going to get that. I'm going to get the first Rome and Medieval 2.
Yeah. Is that because of the campaign map? Because that's quite different on the modern ones. Do you think?
Might be.
So,
Is it just nostalgia that makes me want to go back? It could be that. But Third Age Total War is the one I enjoyed the most. I played that so much.
Yeah.
It's the length of battle is such a big factor for me.
Length of battle. I think units as well. I mean, on Third Age you can get like the Gondorians, can't you, and the elves, and you really immerse yourselves in the lore of the thing.
But another comment. The newer games definitely require a lot of computer power. My Warhammer just crashed at the end of the battle, and I'm on. It's in my SSD, and my rig's pretty powerful. So yeah, that's another comment. So I'm going to play some Third Age now.
Did you play any Britannia, JB?
Thrones of Britannia.
Yeah, I played Thrones of Britannia.
Because I think they lose a little bit when it's not history based, and I'm just looking. I don't know anything about the new game Troy, and then we were chatting about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Total War games, you want to expand in a big way, don't you? And
Yeah.
Troy, that seems quite limited in terms of how much you could do on a map.
Yeah, and it's got the hero units again. So they've got like Achilles who can kill thousands of troops, and he's got a health bar. I like that. That's ridiculous. I mean, I think you can play on sort of romance mode. I've watched videos from people reviewing the modern ones, and they always come out and say they're disappointing, which never makes me want to kind of jump back in on the series. So I would say I'm sort of like a person hovering on the fence. Every time a new Total War comes out, I kind of watch people who have got the game, because you can do that now, can't you? You watch YouTubers, and you say, and they always say, oh, it's not as good as the old ones. I think, well, I don't want to go back. I mean, I definitely transitioned to Europa Universalis. That was the game I wished. I kind of wish Europa Universalis had battles like Total War, because that had the campaign map that Total War never had.
Exactly. So I feel like where Europa falls down is you're basically just trying to like click buttons. So the rest of the game I absolutely love, and I've spent hours on it, like hundreds of hours. But you're basically trying to click buttons so that your army is the best it can be, and you've got the most of them. If there was some sort of strategy in terms of like how you win those battles, it would just be a perfect game for me. But but it's not at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just not. There is no game that is in that middle region between. And the Total War games have got worse. I think that's the thing as well. They've been dumbed down. People talk about them being dumbed down, like the mechanics have become less. Whereas I've moved to Europa, which is more mechanics than Total War ever was.
But why are they different though? What's changed?
I'd say like each individual nation definitely has a lot more aspects to it. My main quip with Warhammer is that you get to 20 turns in and you have the best units you can possibly get, and an army of the best, like a full army of the best units, and your generals are fully upgraded, so they've like your army's like 80% more combat effective. And so 20 turns in, the peak of your army is already achieved. All you've got to do now is conquer the world. What's the point in conquering the world? I've already got the best army I can get. That's my problem with it.
I remember the excitement when you're like, I've got to like Praetorian cohort or urban cohort on Rome Total War. Like,
Yeah.
now I can like churn these guys out and just destroy everyone.
Yeah, it took
You have to work
ages,
for it.
didn't it? You would literally be able to play till near the end of the game before you got them. And then I
Yeah,
think
was it Greek cities that started with Spartan hoplites, and then
One unit,
you start with one unit, and you just like preserve it and preserve this unit.
yeah, because that's one thing that changed, wasn't it? Replenishment. Like in the old ones, you had to get back to your original city to replenish. Like you couldn't replenish a unit unless you had to go back to somewhere that recruited that unit. And whereas the modern ones, their health bar fills up over time. I don't like that. Like I always found that irritating. That's our dog.
Flash hated it as well.
Yeah. But also, what I loved about the old ones was the city building as well. As in, I'd find you're like Rome, you just build everything you could build in it. You'd build every single building inside the city of Rome. You'd make it huge. You'd pump it full of like people. You'd want it to grow loads, and you'd have the like option between: do I make money now, or do I make it grow loads so that I can make more money later? And I would just pump these cities like full of money and make them absolutely huge with like absolute everything, like the biggest, greatest city with like ballista towers and everything I could do. And then
As if Rome's ever going to come under siege when you're like fighting in Egypt.
Yeah, you're fighting like in the Far East against like Parthians or whatever, and you're like better upgrade my walls. Just in case,
that was like the Mongols were great on
they were
medieval World War II, because you're like, I actually do need to like defend Paris because
it can happen.
They were good. I do remember. I spent a campaign on Attila Total War, where I had this one province on the east of Italy, and that was where my army was. It was the only way into Italy, and I must have spent about 200 turns fighting off like Huns. Just Huns attacked that city again and again, and I had to fight it again. And I got so bored, like because I was just holding this one province against Huns.
What I found really fun about the Mongols is like having the ballista cities of Jerusalem and just a couple of units in it and defending that. I just found it so much fun. I don't know why.
So
it's very repetitive, but
what do we think about garrisons? Because they changed that a lot. Like in the early games, you literally had nothing in a city, did you? Unless you put an army in it, and they had armies as well, didn't they? They changed it so you could have. You used to have unlimited armies, but now you've got limited. Like you've got 5 armies you can have. I mean, it's more
right.
Yeah, it's more historical.
I like the idea. It's more realistic.
Garrisons is always sort of been a thing with free upkeep, except before you could choose specifically what you want to have in it. Well, you sort of do now. I don't know. It's different, but I don't know if it's better.
You're always trying to get a balance, aren't you, between realism and enjoyment?
Yeah. Yeah, because
the whole thing isn't that realistic, because we know battles last for hours, and we know in the game battles are like minutes or an hour max.
Yeah.
So you're always trying to get a balance, aren't you?
I mean, I don't like the hard limit on armies. I think that's stupid because realistically, if you can pay for them, you should be able to. Like the Romans wouldn't go, oh, we've got 5 legions. Should we raise another one? No, sorry, sir, you haven't got enough.
We don't do that.
You're limited. You need to upgrade your console to another level.
Yeah, so the hard limit's gone now, I believe.
Wait till Maximus gets a bit more experience. Maybe
it just becomes more expensive to field multiple armies, is the thing. So you have an increased. It's different on Warhammer, because in Warhammer you have lords and legendary lords, and the legendary lords are those like the famous ones in lore, and lords are just like regular generals.
You just told us that in Warhammer you have the best units in the beginning of the game, so what's the point?
Very quickly.
You were talking about, Jamie, you were talking about doom stacks you create as well.
Yeah. So that's so usually it's one type of unit that either is super cheap or is super powerful, such that you can fight a battle with just 20 of that one type of unit, and just crush the entire enemy army no matter what they have.
So you don't have a variety. So it's not like rock paper scissors where spearmen beat spearmen beat horses and then horses beat archers and archers beat whatever. Because that used to always be the way, didn't it? Like it was always rock paper scissors really. Like you had your spearmen to fight the cavalry. Although early on in the early Total War games, you used to have those cavalry doom stacks, didn't you? Where you just get general's bodyguards and you get a whole army of general body. And then I remember when the cavalry used to hit, they used to sort of like you used to be able to mount push them through the enemy force, and they create like this unstoppable tidal wave through the enemy. That I used to enjoy that, even though it was pretty rubbish.
You can see the white flag start flashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ben, you talked about the 8 armies that we did, but what's our best moments that we had in Total War? Because mine would be, I remember doing a medieval Total War 2, and I was Britain, so I was like role playing as it was England, I suppose, and I had longbowmen, and I invaded France, and I kind of copied. I had a few men at arms in the centre, and then I had my longbowmen with the stakes around the edge, and I just murdered. And I think the AI used to mess up a bit, so they used to stop in front of you. You used to murder them with the longbows. I loved that. That was my favourite.
Run onto stakes and you're like,
yeah.
You put stakes down.
Stupid horses.
Zooms in and the enemy king just riding onto a stake.
It's like the invisible stake.
How he died, so it wouldn't actually show you where he died. It would just the game would get so confused.
Yeah,
it just pointed nothing and be like, the enemy general has been slain.
What's your favourite moments?
That's how you beat the Huns, isn't it? Though in medieval, when the Huns would invade, they would knock down your gate, and you would have longbowmen put stakes in front of the gate. And the whole game was their cavalry running into stakes.
Let's be honest, you just wedge your whole army behind the only place it can come in. You're just like, there's no way. What was your favourite Total War moment, Ben?
Well, I absolutely love making massive cities. In the modern ones, you've got to balance food and unrest and stuff, which I just don't care about. I want to just make a massive city. But I loved. I recently went back to Rome, probably a year ago. Just a year ago, I went back to Rome, and I well conquested that, and that was just so good. It was just so satisfying being able to actually do what I wanted, just invade the whole world with the Romans, legionaries, everything. So
was it that ability to do what you wanted that you liked? Why did you like it so much?
The units are so good. You start with a starting, you get up, you get better units, and you fight where historically you got the 3 Romans and they all go into different directions, and I just love the different types of units as well. So you got the Greeks have their hoplites, and then you've got the barbarians with their individual units. I just love the different type of units, and they all do play very differently.
Yeah.
I might go back to Rome and try it as barbarians, because you're just what Rome Total War I think does really well is the Romans are just better, and you're like that is like true to real life.
I've played campaigns as a Swaby. They're still fun. They're it is more difficult, but they've got equally. I mean, they've got the berserkers. I remember that used to go red and they just kill hundreds of stuff. They were out, and then you have war dogs as well.
Just remembering the pigs.
The pigs who set on fire.
which were only good against elephants, but I remember as a child just packing an army full of pigs and just charging the enemy and wondering why it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Pigs are on fire, die.
Well, I think the kind of YouTube has sort of it's taken away the fun of games in one sense because you can look up how to do it really well. And I do this. I'm as bad as anyone. I look it up how to fight, and you can watch people who are really good at playing the game. But then that kind of
you didn't work it out.
Yeah, exactly. You used to have to work it out. You have to go, why these pigs? What are they for? They don't do anything against anyone. I suppose.
And I think that's why I always like fighting all my battles, because I was like, I know it would be much better to just automatically resolve all of this, but it somehow doesn't feel right. I should fight the battle.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
If you going back to what's my favourite point, I'd have to say playing Third Age Total War. That game, unbelievable. just some of the battles against like that get so good, where you're fighting against mass orcs and they just keep coming, and you've got Faramir with Boromir and you're fighting like in Minas Tirith, that kind of stuff. Some of those battles would be my best moments.
I think that's it. It used to be it was role playing, wasn't it? I think
yeah.
I always loved about it that you could role. I mean, that's my favourite was role playing as England, because that's what. And like Lord of the Rings, you can role play as that.
Well, as English, we know that we're the best. So we wanted to.
I guess it really helps that we're big Lord of the Rings fans. I mean, that's why I like Napoleon Total War, because
yeah.
that's it.
What about you, Jamie? What's your favourite ever bit?
I gotta admit that the Warhammer games do have some like really fun aspects to them. So some of the, even though I admit it's ridiculously overpowered and it kind of ruins the game, some of the spells are really cool. Just to have like an army of, so you got like orcs and things, you got all sorts of like things in the Warhammer games. Have an army of orcs come for you, and then you like block them in your gate and then bring down a massive meteor on them, and you just crush so many. It is really satisfying.
Jamie, you're not fitting the agenda.
I understand. I have like, but
well, no, they obviously
it does like my units had no purpose. So one of my problems with the Warhammer games is having a group of spearmen or a group of swordsmen who are like top tier is no better than having some rubbish spearmen or some rubbish swordsmen, because the job of both of them is to stand in a very straight line so that when you use your very straight spell, you hit all of the enemies standing in front of your line. And that became the purpose of infantry. Like there's no real purpose to them.
Yeah, because like you must be the target market of these games, because it's definitely not me. Like the Warhammer obviously does attract a certain market. People do like them. They must do. They're selling them. But I feel like they've forgotten the people like me. But like,
I mean, what Jamie's mentioned, like I think this is the absolute like. I really long for someone to make a game where troops like experience is important. And I know it is like somewhat in all games really, but like where it's really important, because in real life, like the armies that win are always like the experienced ones who are well disciplined, know what they're doing, they're confident in their general. Whereas in all these games, we know like you just buy the best units,
the best troop ones,
and just get loads of them, and that's what wins.
Yeah, well, in real life, you kit your best units up with the best gear. So in the game where you buy a new unit, you wouldn't. You would just give your best unit the better gear.
Yeah.
So that's something I was talking about with Chris. Is that's in when I played quite a bit of which one is it? Attila Total War. You start off the game with these really you start off with a bunch of rubbish units, and you'll have like one or two specialist units from your nation. So for the Visigoths, it was these infantry that when they charged or when an enemy was near your lines, they threw spears before they hit, and their spears were really, really powerful. And having those units as your front line was a lot of fun because they're so strong. But you couldn't get any more of them. Like they were locked behind ages and ages and ages of research.
I mean, it shouldn't be research, should it? It should be you've done well at the game for like 100 turns, and therefore the units you started with are now like veterans.
But
that's what I would love. I would love that.
What I'm adding is that in Attila, something really cool was when you unlocked your new units through research. Although maybe it shouldn't be research, but it was. When you unlocked your new units through research, you could upgrade like your rubbish spearmen into the slightly better spearmen. And then eventually, the more you do that, you have the same unit that you started with, which was like this really rubbish group of pikemen, is now like an elite unit of spears that you couldn't have got at the start, that you might have started with one group of at the start. And that's a lot of fun to like finally be like, oh, I can get these units that I've been enjoying for the entire game.
So if we could talk to the developers, which we obviously can't, but if we were to like talk to them and to say like one thing that we'd all change in the modern ones, what would it? So I'll tell you what mine would be is get back to a historical setting and get rid of single entity units. Like, that is the biggest thing for me. I hate those.
You didn't play quite a few games like before that.
What's that?
Did you play much Attila and Rome 2? Did you enjoy?
I played
those?
quite a lot of Attila. I didn't play much of Rome 2.
What was wrong with those ones?
I think
they didn't. That's historical.
That is historical. I think it was the farm, like you said, the farm system. It was silly. Like it kind of held you back in a false way. It was like the game mechanics were trying to hold you back, even though, yeah, that's another problem. I'm giving them one thing to get. Like, my biggest problem now, the thing that keeps me away from the game most of all, is single entity units. Like Rome 2 and Attila, I played a bit of, but I didn't really enjoy them. But I would say I totally avoid the game with a hero unit. I just think that isn't. It's just so rubbish. That they've got these hero units. It's got a health bar that I've seen people like run in and then they use their like, and it's all about micromanagement as well rather than strategy when you've got that, because it's about kind of who can click the buttons the quickest. I don't really want to, particularly as you get older and you play computer games, you don't really want to be about who's the quickest at clicking, because you get slower. So you want to have like strategy that wins the day, and that to me that kind of takes away. And it takes away the sort of like the immersion, because you know that character can't do that. Like, you know Achilles can't just kill thousands of units on his own. He'll get surrounded and killed. And that ruins it for me. Like, I want to immerse myself in that game.
We like realism.
Yeah, I do.
To a point.
What would you guys get rid of?
I do. So I do like the spells. I don't know what to think about that. So I'll skip past it. And I'll say, for generals and for units that are really powerful, you want to have some level of vulnerability to them. So I'm playing Third Age Total War, and I have Prince Imrahil as a group of Swan Knights.
What a legend.
They are so powerful. Like, their charge is absolutely devastating. You can kill so many with them. But if you hit a group of pikemen who have just turned around and are bracing, and Imrahil hits that line, he's dead, and he's dead forever. So
I've just remembered the reason I stopped playing Third Age Total War. I was playing as the Free Peoples of Eriador, and I had, for some, I don't know why I did this. I had just Aragorn and Gandalf in the city, and a full like 21 stack of Orcs of the Misty Mountains just attacked my It was a city that was in the middle of my empire, and they sieged it, and I was like, I don't have any units nearby, so they're both dead.
Gandalf and Aragorn, and like
I didn't fight the battle. I just like quit, and I was like, never again. I've just killed Aragorn and Gandalf.
And you had that vulnerability though, like your units. If you had left your general in the wrong spot, he's dead, and he's dead forever, and it's really annoying. But it's still, you actually care about the unit. Whereas in Warhammer, for example, so you've got, what's one example? Like the Chief Lizard Man, he's this guy on a massive dinosaur. Like, you charge him into battle, he kills 600 guys, his health bar's at about a quarter, so you say, you know what, I'll pull him out now, because I don't want him to die. Like, there was no risk involved in those first encounters.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You've got to kill 600 guys with no fear of any, like, damage taken. Now I just charged my Swan Knights into some spears.
What would you change, Sam?
I'll suggest an idea. I think the game needs to be primarily about generals. So, like, that's why I play Total War. It's because it's for the battles, really. So I'd like to see way more, and maybe these have been in the later games and I just haven't played them, but way more emphasis on preparing battles, where you fight, what units you have, how, like I've mentioned, how like experienced your troops are. Really, like, you can see the difference. How confident your men are in your general. Changes how quick they run. I know they're all features in games, but I would love that to be the forefront of the game rather than just constantly trying to stop people rebelling and.
I don't think the terrain used to be a big deal. I remember that like if you went up on top of a hill, you could hold off loads and loads of enemies. Like, in medieval, I used to fight battles where I'd have like 4 units against 20, but I'd be on a hill, and you could defend your flanks with the cliffs, and you could get your archers shooting down on the mass group.
Exactly.
That used to be a massive deal, like the terrain, and I think that's a big thing. Ben?
I also like the thing about generals. Like, there was nothing better in the previous ones than having a 10-star commander who had been with you throughout the entire game. I feel like the modern games, I don't know, was it Rome 2? I had to mod it so that when you ended turn, it did 4 seasons rather than a year or half a year.
Yeah, because they used to die really quick, didn't they?
Yeah, because you'd get a general and you'd fight 4 battles and he'd be dead, and it'd just be really annoying. But the thing I would change the whole building mechanics. I loved the idea of controlling every city. And although they've got little cities now, you don't build everything. I just loved being like, do I want a blacksmith or do I want an armory? I want both, because it's a big city, so it should have both. And I don't care if it's smelly or it makes people hungry. Like, the hunger thing, I just don't get. Like, I will build more farms. I'll just pay a bit more money, build more farms. Why does this farm have to stop me being able to build an armory? Why does this farm have to stop me? Like, it doesn't make any sense. If I'm having a big
that's real life.
Yeah.
Can I build an armory? No, we've got 100 farms outside the city.
I haven't got enough cows.
Right?
It's stupid.
You haven't got a building slot. You need a building slot to build.
We need planning permission.
But how big are these buildings that they can't build an armory? And it's stupid. I want to build these massive cities. I want to be an empire that has the best technology and the best armor. And we might not have the best weapons, but no one can get, like, I want to build an empire. I don't want to be like stopped because the game wants to limit me by food. Like, yes, we need food, but we're just going to build that. We're going to put some money into that. The money that we earned from burning all of these people's land, we're going to pump that into building some farms. I want to get big. I want to be strong. I want to be an empire. That's my thing.
Nice. Well, I think we covered just about...
just clip that bit and just...
Yeah.
A bit concerning.
Trailer. I think that sums up our views on Total War there, though, in general. So thanks for joining us if you've got to this point. If you listen to our rant for 40 minutes, that's pretty cool. If you like this, leave a like, subscribe if you want to. We're going to try and do more of these chats if you guys like them. If you don't, we probably won't. And comment what your views are on the game as well. Under this video, let us know what you think and what you think would be really what would improve the game. Because I'm sure that the best way of making these things better is just moaning to the developers until they listen. I reckon.
Should I ask people to share what is your favourite Total War game?
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah, what is your favourite Total War? Like, mine is Medieval 2, definitely.
Rome 1.
Medieval 2.
Third Age. So Medieval 2.
Well, it's Medieval 2,
yeah. Medieval 2.
That's disgraceful that our best one's like that far back. Like that's how bad Creative Assembly has done. That our best game that they've done is
like third and fourth game.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
They're on 14.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.